President Donald Trump has reiterated his desire to annex the autonomous region of Greenland from Denmark. Trump said today he thinks it will happen, adding that the US needs Greenland for international security. While his comments are sure to have rubbed up NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte the wrong way, he was sat right beside him, the two sides holding talks at a time when Europe's security is on the line with the US's growing collision with Russia. While Trump has been speaking on Putin's latest comments, the US leader said the Russian president made a very promising statement. Well, let's break down the meeting now with Dafydd Townley. He's part of the University of Portsmouth's professional military education team. Dafydd, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Great to have you. I first of all just want to get your assessment on that moment during the meeting when Trump insisted that a US annexation of Greenland would happen. He said that with Rutte sat right next to him. I mean, it doesn't get more awkward than that.
No, you could see Rutte was very definitely squirming in his seat and trying his best to be pinned down on any position on it. I think he quite deftly pushed it away and said that this was for a discussion outside this particular discussion. But what we'll see, I think, is this is a topic that will continue to appear in the American narrative, certainly for at least for the next few months until this conflict is over.
Well, Rutte has earned this reputation of being the Trump whisperer. He's had that reputation for a few years now, but this was always going to be a mammoth task for him today, meeting Trump. He's walking a very tightrope. He has to stand up for alliance members while also keeping Trump on side. Talk to us about the tightrope that Rutte had to walk today.
Well, I mean, this is a pivotal moment in NATO and European security. What we will find, I think, from Rutte is he's using his good relationship that he had with Trump initially during Trump's first administration, when he was Prime Minister of the Netherlands. What we'll see, I think, is more likely to an attempt for NATO to stay relevant, but also in particular for the United States to stay within the NATO family. Now, whether that is as an active member as it has been in the past, or whether the United States will step back, we get to see really clearly what comes out of these discussions. Certainly what will be discussed are NATO member contributions in terms of defence spending, which have been increased since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. But what I think we'll see as well is a determined effort to ensure that the United States stays within that family. Rutte said that that Trump is responsible for reinvigorating NATO, and I think that that's probably a fair assessment. However, I think that there are as many European security experts and ministers and prime ministers that are desperately hoping that the United States remains committed to NATO and the security of Europe.
Well, Dafydd, how much life does NATO really have? We have Trump proposing to annex Canada, another NATO member. He's also proposing to annex Greenland from Denmark, as well as imposing tariffs on US allies and the EU. It really begs the question, is NATO dead?
No, I think we've seen in the past NATO has adapted to different changes in a geopolitical environment. At the end of the Cold War, one would have thought that it would simply have petered away. But I think that even without the United States as a partner, although I still think the United States will stay in NATO, albeit in a less committed role, I think that we'll see NATO will be able to adapt and contend with the security issues that it faces. I think what we will need to see, though, is a really firm commitment, not just words, but actually actions from NATO member states and from the European Union as a wider body to commit to European security. And I think that that's something that Trump wants to see as well before he makes any decisions.
Well, Dafydd, I do want to play devil's advocate here just for a little bit. You know, Washington and Berlin are the biggest contributors to NATO. The fear, of course, as you've mentioned, is, the US stepping out of NATO. We have had some analysts suggest that Europe could potentially make up for the loss of contributions from Washington. Give us your sense on that. Do you think NATO could survive without the US?
Well, I think it could. NATO as an organisation could certainly continue. NATO's ability to offer a substantial defence of Europe from any adversary will need to considerably shake up its defence industry base. We heard Rutte mention this afternoon that the United States is undoubtedly far in advance of what European countries are capable of doing in terms of defence production. So we need not just a commitment to defence spending, but also an expansion of the defence base within within Europe. So I think that we've heard talks of 5% from Trump. We've heard talks from 5% from other nations as well that are really committed to this. So whether we see this as a long-term viable project, I think we'll see that over the next couple of years. I think although we will need to look at alternatives should this no longer cease to be an effective security organization.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. David, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Great to get your insight and analysis. Thanks so much.
Thank you.